With the Chiboust, I'm going to deposit some in these little cups. And that will be one way you can work with your Chiboust. So fill it up, and then with the offset spatula, clean the rim, do another one. Okay, a little bit more so it gets a nice level top. Okay, those are good. Then the rest I'm going to deposit into a square cake pan. Now I'll get this all in there. Okay, so while the Chiboust is still warm or not cool yet, it's easy to work with. I'm going to use the offset spatula. You want to get a nice level amount of this, so then after it's set, I'll be able to cut it into even-sized portions. So I'll use the offset to sort of even it out as much as possible. And then, there's a little bit of meringue. Then you can give it a little tap to let it set. And there you have it. Okay, so my cups can go into the refrigerator. They do not need to be frozen because I'm not going to unmold them. But the other that I'm going to unmold and cut with a cutter, I want it to be nice and firm, so I'm gonna freeze this one. Okay, so I have my Chiboust that has, in the cups, that has chilled thoroughly. I actually left it overnight. And the last final step before service would be to torch it or brulee the top just to give a little texture and nice flavor. You don't have to do that. It can be served more mousse style and just as is, but I'm gonna go ahead and do the torching. So first, some sugar on top. Spread the sugar. Okay. Keep the torch moving. As you see the sugar start to melt, move it around to the other areas. And just look for all the sugar to melt. A little bit more here. There you go. And same with when we're torching the meringue. After torching, you probably want to assume you're going to serve it within a couple of hours. It can hold up for that, but after that point, the sugar starts to liquefy and it won't have the crispness. And of course, the other thing to be aware of is after you torch it, wait at least a few minutes. Don't serve it absolutely immediately because the sugar's way too hot. The other thing I did was I had used the hazelnut dough that we made a few weeks ago for our tarts. I had some extra in the freezer. I pulled it out, I rolled it, cut into little cookies, dipped in chocolate. And I thought that would be a nice accompaniment for the Chiboust. Something crisp to go with the mousse. And that's it now. With my second portion of Chiboust that I froze in the cake pan, I've unmolded it, and I did that in the same way I did recently with the cheesecake, where you use a paring knife or a thin bladed knife, run it around the sides of the pan, unmold it, use your torch if you need to heat the bottom so it will release. I have a couple of round cutters. I have different sizes I'm gonna cut out. I already cut out some small pieces. I'm gonna cut out a few larger ones to show you that two that I'm gonna use as individual, on top of individual tarts. So I have water here that I'm using a little bit of warm water to dip your cutter in before, and then drying it before cutting. The Chiboust is frozen. Just, it should give you a nice clean cut when it's frozen. Push it out with your finger. Again, clean and dry your cutter in between each cut. After I cut these, I'm going to pop them back in the freezer for just a couple of minutes to make sure they're really firm before I torch the top and put them on the tarts. So I got these little guys. They sat in the freezer for just a couple minutes, so they got nice and firm. I'm gonna get the sugar on top. I'm not doing this on parchment paper to avoid the parchment paper lighting on fire when I use my torch. Get the sugar in an even layer, or as best as possible. This is a quick torch just to give it, again, a little bit of texture, and then I'm gonna put these little guys right on top of their tarts. If you were doing this, this is the type of thing you would do for a plated dessert in a for restaurant service. And what you would do is have your Chiboust cut out and ready to be torched and plated in the freezer. Okay, so I did two different sizes. I did a little bit bigger and then a real mini size. Just use an offset. Grab your Chiboust and put it right on your tart. You can do the flat tarts as I did here. You could also do formed in the tart shell and have a piece of this Chiboust that fits right inside the tart, more of a traditional tart. But either way, and like I said, if you wanted to, these can be a taller piece with more height, which would be nice. But there you have it. I hope you guys can see that.